So all of you are giving attempt this year. Think so. So probably by this time, at least you should have studied once basic understanding, or probably now you should be in revision stage or consolidation stage, or sometimes clarity stage, sometimes probably in revision stage. I hope so. In which stage you are there right now, only you supposed to know. But at least you should have read probably basic terms. At least you should have looked at previous year questions once, if you're giving attempt this year, probably. So in prelims, at least UPSC is more interested in economy. So they're expecting 3 important areas. First, you have to look at POQ themes. Then you have to look at current affairs related to that POQ themes. Probably current data from budget and economic survey. So if you have seen last 3 to 5 years question paper, at least last 10 years question paper, there are some repeated themes. Even those chapters are so many, but if you look at probably previous year questions, around 25 to 30 themes are there from which regularly questions are getting repeated. Like in fiscal policy types of deficits, in inflation WPA, CPA, in national income estimation methods, in external sector BOP. So if you look at roughly around 60 to 70 themes are there in prelims from which regularly questions are being asked. So if you look at probably last 5 years for prelims, national income, inflation, monetary policy, financial market, so apart from that, if you look at for prelims perspective, banking, taxation, fiscal policy, budgeting. So last year only from deficit they asked almost around 4 questions, different types of deficits only. External sector, so probably this year so many foreign trade agreements. Then international economic organizations is one of examiners favorite question again. WTO, World Bank, IMF. Agriculture industry probably for mains topics, but schemes are important for prelims. Any innovations or any initiatives taken by the government in the current year budget, probably agriculture, industry, investment models, mains topic. However, essence and the summary of them is important for the prelims. Sometimes they are giving question directly. This scheme is related to which department and what is the objective of the scheme. Or sometimes regular repeated is which crops are covered under MSP, which crops are not covered under MSP, or probably in agriculture, specific mains theme orientation they are asking from prelims perspective. Industry, some 3-4 indexes are there. Index of industrial production, index of core industries, PMI, purchase managers index, which are core industries, which are non-core industries, something like that. Then poverty and employment, again, types of poverty, types of unemployment, planning, Niti Yog, infrastructure, roadway, railway, aviation services. Again, this is mains topic only, infrastructure also, but roadway, railway, aviation, any specific new scheme is announced in the budget, probably new industrial corridor, new defense corridors, so extension of golden quadrilateral. So if you are thorough with national income, inflation, monetary policy, so these topics, at least till this, external sector till BOP, balance of payment. Probably prelims concepts are clear, you will be able to solve, most likely. But how you have to read? So read one topic, after that look at what happened to that particular topic in last 1 year, current affairs also. Say you have completed national income. Then you have to look at in national income chapter, what are the current issues which have happened in the last year. After that, you have to solve previous year questions immediately. So if you do this approach, probably first round, you will be able to solve around, if you are able to solve 50% of the questions. Second round, revision, again solve. Probably 3 times revision, then you will be able to answer all the questions. And most likely examiner is more interested in conceptual clarity rather than by hearting of the questions. So if you try to understand all this, probably today's class we will try to start with national income. So because examiner's favorite topic. So if you observe POQ themes, probably in national income, definition of income, then types of GDP. Here only we are going to cover nominal GDP, real GDP, potential GDP, green GDP. Then there is something called methods of estimation of national income, one concept called base year, business cycles. Business cycles, when we say boom, slowdown, recession, depression, comparison, sometimes questions in combination with the national income and inflation chapter, probably combination questions. Then if you look at some of the areas where traps in national income chapter, if you look at probably in national income, factor cost, basic price, market price, constant price, clarity is required based on this measurements. So which means one of the examiner's favorite topics, how factor cost influencing basic price, what is cost, what is price. Then in types of GDP, potential GDP, nominal GDP, real GDP, green GDP, GDP deflator. Apart from that, if you look at from economic survey and budget, probably 2 current affairs themes are there. One is Goldilock economy, middle income trap. So apart from this, probably from IMF C rating to India's NSO, which means what is the problem with estimation of national income accounting in India. So these 3 are the current affairs things: Goldilock economy, middle income trap, probably IMF C rating. Then there is something called Kuznets curve. So Kuznets curve also current affairs issue only. So roughly, if you are thorough with all this, then important changes that happened in presentation of national income from 2015. All of you know that there is a revision of base year. So government announced revision of the base year. So if you are thorough with all these concepts of national income, probably look at economic survey, only obvious data. Obvious data means according to economic survey, what is the expected growth rate range. Apart from that, try to solve previous year questions probably as soon as the topic gets over. So from exam perspective, from national income, if you're thorough with all these concepts, probably you'll be able to answer. And one repeated theme in exam is actually DET, domestic economic territory. So for estimation of national income, what is domestic economic territory, which is included, which is not included, what should be added, what should not be added. Similarly, in income calculation, what should be added, what should not be added. So these are roughly previous year questions we have seen. So probably I assume that you already studied. Assumption may be wrong also. I hope you have studied. What are you talking, sir? Why should we study, sir? You have to study before the exam only, not after the exam. Correct only? So probably, ideally, after listening to the class, study the chapter. After listening to the class, study the chapter. Probably solve previous year questions also. We have studied well and good. Anyway, so what is the use of this national income chapter, sir? It is just to understand economic growth. So based on economic growth, again, there are so many concepts: economic growth, economic development, inclusive growth, jobless growth. Probably if you are following the newspaper, $5 trillion economy, Vikasit Bharat, So while talking about them only, the word Goldilock economy comes. The word middle income trap will come. Probably I'll explain what is meaning of this. So very simple concept. What is economic growth? First of all, so what is economic activity? Any action that you are performing with expectation of return is called as economic activity. You are doing something with expectation of some return. Look at the word. You are doing something with some expectation of return. That is called as economic activity. So sitting in the class is economic activity or not? Yes sir, we are getting sleep. Correct only? That is a return. What is the purpose of attending the class? With what expectation of return? Probably in prelims you will get some questions. Probably you will clear IAS, IPS, IRS. Your photo will come in all newspapers, TV channels. Probably. Some return is expected. Return may come now, return may come later. So first clarification, what is economic activity? If production, distribution, consumption of something is happening with expectation of return, that is called as economic activity. See, why should we produce goods and services? Very simple. Resources are limited. Population is unlimited. So needs are increasing. Look at what is happening to LPG cylinder. So population is ever increasing. Resources are decreasing. How do we manage our resources in the best possible optimal manner? So that's what the policy maker has to do as a government. So every economy will be facing three challenges: what to produce, how to produce, and distribution. So these are the fundamental three questions faced by every economy: what to produce, how to produce, and the distribution of goods and services. So how do we know what to produce? Based on the need of the public. So at present, what is the need of the Indian public? In the hostels also, no dosas sir, no puri sir, only rock idli sir. Correct only? Probably. Idli also no? Oh. Only upma, only rice. So probably. See, based on the need of the public, government has to understand what is the priority. See, that's why government came up with Essential Commodities Act. And then natural gas is kept under Essential Commodities Act. Because what to produce matters. How? How to produce depend upon the ideology of the economic system. So, is it capitalistic economy? Is it socialistic economy? Is it mixed economy? Sometimes based on this also questions are asked. I'm just discussing very fundamental concepts to understand all this. So first I said, what is economic activity? Then what to produce? Identify the need of the people. How to produce? Essentially, if you look at capitalism, socialism, mixed economy. Sometimes even the ideology is asked in the exam. Sometimes the meaning of the word is also asked in the exam. So apart from this, sectors of the economy: primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector, quaternary sector, quinary sector. So all these are considered. Now what's meaning of this capitalism? So it's an ideology in which the prices of the goods and services should be decided by market forces. What are market forces, sir? Demand and supply will decide prices. Role of the state, which means the government. Ideologies: the business of the government is not to do any business. The business of the government is not to do any business. So a country which follows this ideology is called as capitalism. Meaning, Most of the resources are directly under control of market forces rather than under the government control. How much to produce, or which goods are more in demand. So prices are decided based on market forces called demand and supply, which is also called as free market economy. So in one line answer, what is the nature of the state in capitalist economy? Very minimal, because full freedom is given to private players. So which we use the word laissez-faire. Sir, what's meaning of laissez-faire policy, sir? Laissez-faire means let them do, don't disturb them. Let them do. So which means who can do? Private players can decide what to produce, how much to produce, all this. So capitalism is economic system in which prices of goods and services are decided by market forces called demand and supply. What is demand? Desire to buy, capacity to buy. So along with availability of the product, most likely choice can be made, is called as demand. You desire to buy a mobile phone. Capacity to buy, you also have the money to buy it, and you want a specific model that is also available in the market, then we call it as demand. Desire to buy, capacity to buy, and availability of the product. Combination together, if they are present, that's called as demand. Let's say you want to buy a helicopter. Around 75 crores only is required. Phone pay balance is 7.5 rupees. So demand is there? Not there. So if you have the capacity to buy, probably demand may come. So that's the meaning of the word demand. Very fundamental concept. Desire to buy, capacity to buy, availability of the product. If all are available, we may make a choice. If majority of the people are making a choice to buy something, that is called as demand. What is called as supply, sir? Out of goods and services which are produced, which are ready for consumption, in the final form, as called as supply. See, look at the word I am using. Out of goods which are produced, which are ready for consumption in the final form, is called as supply. Meaning, a farmer has produced so many tons of agricultural produce, out of which, after you separate rotten fruits and vegetables, which are available for consumption in the market, is called as supply. See, total production is not considered as supply. Why? There might be some defect products. Some products may be damaged. So finally, a product which is ready for the consumption is called as supply. So in capitalistic economy, who will decide the prices? Market forces. What are that market forces? Demand and supply. So if demand is more, supply is less, what happens to prices? Prices are expected to increase. If demand is less, supply is more, what is expected of prices? So this system is called a capitalistic system or capitalistic economic system. Socialism. Welfare of the people is the motto of the state. Most of the resources are under control of the state. State here meaning government. The ideology is the business of the socialistic economy is to do most of the business. Which means we used to believe, ping to aeroplane, every resources should be produced by state. Everything should be under control of state. At least from 1950s to 1991, attitude of the government was, it wanted to control everything. Majority of the resources are under control of government. Profit is not the motto. Welfare of public is the motto of the state. That is called a socialistic economy. So, mixed economy. Industrial Policy Resolution 1948 officially declared in an economy. This is previous year question. Which industrial policy resolution declared officially Indian economy as mixed economic model. Industrial Policy Resolution 1948. What does this IPR 1948 says? It says there would be coexistence of public sector as well as private sector, which means some will be controlled by the government, some we will give permission to the private. So combination of private and public, coexistence of public as well as private. However, our ideology is socialism. Ideology is socialism, meaning welfare of the people is the motto of the state, but we permit certain sectors for private sector also. Certain activities will be under control of the government also. Ideology continues to be socialism, but economic model adopted was mixed economic model. So, previous year question was, which of the pairs are correctly matched? Which of the pairs are incorrectly matched? Based on these three concepts: capitalism, socialism, mixed economy. Opposite they give the statement. Capitalism. The role of the state is maximum in this model of economy. Is it correctly matched? Capitalism. Opposite this statement was given. The role of the state is maximum in this economy. No. Actually it is minimal. Can you say that? Socialism. Welfare precedes profit motto. Socialism. Opposite this statement was written. Welfare precedes profit motto. What does it mean? Which is important? Welfare is more important than profit. Correctly only? Yes. Mixed economy. Coexistence of public sector as well as private sector. So very simple question based on the concept of capitalism, socialism, mixed economy. Correctly matched, incorrectly matched. Very easy question only, direct question. So sometimes they're asking opposite statement. What are opposite statement? The role of the business or the role of the state is maximum in socialistic economy. The role of the state is maximum in socialistic economy. Yes, because majority of the resources under control of government. So if you are thorough with the ideology, this also direct question. Officially, which IPR declared Indian economy as mixed economy? IPR 1948. Very fundamental concept called as what is economic activity? What are the economic ideologies? So once we know this, regular repeated themes of the previous year questions again is sectors of the economy. So last year also they asked, match the following. They gave an economic activity and they said they belongs to which sector. So primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector, quaternary sector, quinary sector. Like previous year question was, which of the following economic activities are correctly matched, incorrectly matched? So they'll give one example. You have to just identify whether it comes under primary sector or secondary sector or service sector. Actually, these are not there in national income estimation. These are only used by economists in different countries. But for national income estimation, we are having only these three. So what is primary sector, sir? Something which deals with exploration of natural resources, something which is related to production of basic raw materials is called a primary sector. Primary school. So what do we learn in primary school? Basics. Probably we did not learn. That's the reason why we are here. But anyway, we have learned the basics. After that we apply later. Primary. So you are wearing a dress. So dress is the final product. But what is the raw material for production of the dress? So from where it came? Don't say cotton mill. It came from where? Agriculture. So agriculture comes under primary sector. So you are writing on a notebook. Notebook is made up of paper. Paper came from, so forestry, timber depot. Forestry comes under primary sector. So You are sitting on a wooden table and iron chair. So iron. Mining of the basic raw material comes under primary sector. Aquaculture, animal husbandry. So all this comes under primary sector. Why, sir? Related to exploration of natural resources, production of basic raw materials. So which comes under primary sector, which does not come under primary sector. Secondary sector. What is secondary sector, sir? Converting raw materials into finished products by providing place utility, time utility, shape utility. Process of manufacturing comes under secondary sector. Now, what is meaning of secondary sector, sir? So, a basic raw material called mango is converted into mango juice, mango pickle. Conversion of mango into mango pickle or mango juice comes under secondary sector. Why are we saying it provides time utility, sir? How many days we can store mangoes? Probably a few days. But mango juice, మామిడి పళ్ళ సీజన్ ఎప్పుడు ఉంటుంది డియర్. మజా స్లైస్. Probably we are increasing the shelf life. We are increasing the shelf life of the raw material. Similarly, rose. How many days you can store? ఎవరికి ఇవ్వలేదు ఎప్పుడు? తీసుకోలేదా? ఇచ్చినా తీసుకోలేదంట వాళ్ళు. సో సర్వీస్ రాకపోతే ఎవరు తీసుకోరు. సర్వీస్ వచ్చిన తర్వాత తీసుకుంటారు. అప్పుడు ఇవ్వాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, వాళ్ళే తిరిగి వచ్చి ఇస్తారు. సో ప్రాబబ్లీ యూ కెన్ స్టోర్ perishable and non-perishable. Perishable means if you don't consume within the span, it will become waste. Perishable, non-perishable. So in secondary sector, what are we doing? We are increasing shelf life of perishable goods. So rose is converted into rose perfume. Rose is converted into rose water. Rose is converted into rose face pack, whatever. So conversion of the raw material into finished product by giving additional shelf life is called as secondary sector. Tertiary sector. From the raw material, a finished product is prepared. However, we are ensuring that this is available at consumption point. So all the value addition, distribution comes under tertiary sector. So look at what I am using the word. After a product is manufactured, till the product reaches to the consumer, value addition, distribution. What is the value addition here, sir? Packaging material, branding, labeling, marketing, distribution. Finally, it is made available. So that's called as tertiary sector or service sector. Banking, insurance, transportation, marketing, labeling. We are trying to ensure the product is available at convenient place of the customer. So all these value addition services are called as service sector. So coaching comes under which sector? Most disorganized, unorganized sector. Why are you saying education comes under service sector? Because there is some raw material called brain which got damaged earlier. So we are repairing it wherever required. Nuts and bolts are loose, we are tightening it. We are trying to do some value addition, probably. So last year they asked very direct question. Water purification comes under which sector? Water purification, not water packaging. Water purification. So if I ask a question, purified water packaging comes under service sector, but water purification is converting the basic raw material of water into drinking water. Process of conversion. Water purification comes under secondary sector. Textile comes under secondary sector only. Raw material is cotton. From there you are trying to create an apparel, meaning designed product. Can we say that? Hospitality. Hospitality meaning probably you are trying to provide tourism. Tourism comes under service sector. But very direct question, which is economic activity matched correctly with which sector? Probably. But sometimes goods and services both are interrelated, where interdependence of each sector is there. So if you go to a hotel, if you go to a restaurant, whatever food that you order is visible. The way the staff behaves with you is service. Probably both are there. Goods also are there. Services also are present. Now, if you look at, for national income estimation, we are referring them as primary sector, secondary sector, service sector, tertiary sector, all this only. But recently, economists are using some more words, quaternary sector, quinary sector. Now, what is the meaning of this? So, if you look at high intellectual decision making should be considered as separate sector. So, what's meaning of this? You keep reading in the paper, probably something called IPR. So, trademark, geographical indication, copyright, patent, intellectual property rights. So, what are these intellectual property rights, sir? Somebody is investing in research and development. When they're investing in research and development, through that, they're developing some knowledge-based economy, or we call it as knowledge economy. So, this knowledge economy related IPR, research and development, should be considered as separate sector. That is called quaternary sector. For national income estimation, we are not differentiating it. It's a word used. What is meaning of quaternary sector? Related to intellectual property rights, related to R&D, research and development. So some of the economists are saying, how do we know a country is developing or not? We will come to know only by when we're looking at research and development, information technology, intellectual property rights. We are most populated country in the world, but our performance in intellectual property rights is very minimal, because our research and development expenditure is less than 1% of the total budget. Why everybody is afraid of USA? Intellectual property rights are more, new innovations, new technology. So that's why some of the economists say knowledge economy, IPR, research and development should be considered as separate sector, but actually it's not considered as separate sector. Quinary sector. What is quinary sector, sir? Top level decision making in any organization who is responsible for formulation of the policies should be considered as separate sector, which is called quinary sector. Now, what's meaning of top level decision making? So, who is top level decision making in a company? Board of directors, CEO, managing directors, all of them. So, who is a top level decision making in a university? So, who is a top level decision making at state level? Deputy CM or CM? No, sir. They're advisors. Probably. Administrative level, chief secretary. Administrative level, chief secretary. Political level, real executive, CM or PM, probably. So, because of this top level decision making process, other economic activities are getting influence. It should be considered as separate sector. See, these two are only used in paper. In reality, economic activities are based on this only. See, I explained very basic concept. What is called as economic activity? What are the economic systems? Capitalism, socialism, mixed economy. Just now we covered sectors of the economy. Now once we understand this, from economic survey, these words are there. So probably which you can expect. Goldilock economy, middle income trap, IMFC rating I'll discuss toward the end. Let me complete the associated terms. So this part, what is economic growth, sir? From this various economic activities called primary sector, secondary sector, service sector, compared to last year, whether we are producing more goods and services or not. So economic growth, quantitative estimation of economic activity. Quantitative estimation of economic activity to understand whether we are growing or not. to understand whether we are using resources properly or not is called as economic growth. So, is your weight growing? Yes, sir. Height? God knows, sir. Brain? First of all, it should be there. It is there, sir. So, how do we know your preparation is in right track? How do we estimate? How do you know that you are preparing properly for the exam? After you write a mock test, you will understand whether you are preparing in the right track or not. So at least before reading, out of 50 you used to get minus 50. After reading once, at least minus 20, good only. After that, positive plus 20, which means our preparation is in the right track. Growth. So what is economic growth? Materialistic quantitative estimation of economic activity is called as economic growth, which means in the last one financial year, through the process of economic activity or production of goods and services, whether we are producing more or less. So you keep reading Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Financial year is divided into 4 quarters. So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Every quarter, officially NSO. Earlier we used to call it as CSO. Now we are calling it as NSO under MOSPA, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. Will give the data regarding economic growth. Which sector we are growing, which sector we are not growing, why we are growing, why we are not growing. To increase the growth, what should be done, what went wrong, all this. So first is called as economic growth. But India's growth is criticized as jobless growth. So what's the meaning of jobless growth, sir? Materialistic production of goods and services is growing. However, corresponding number of jobs are not getting created. For 1,000 jobs, almost 6 lakh students are fighting with each other. UPSC only I am talking about. State Public Service Commission, then competition is unlimited, infinite, probably. Which means every year, lakhs of students are coming out from graduation, post-graduation, but the number of jobs are a few hundreds. So growth is more visible in some sectors, but labor-intensive job generation growth is not there. Which means corresponding to the growth, corresponding number of jobs are not getting created, which is referred as jobless growth. Sometimes it's also referred as exclusive growth. When we say exclusive growth, not everybody, not every sector, not every part of the economy, not every area is getting benefited because of economic growth. Some elite classes, some sections, some sectors, some people, some areas are getting benefited. So in which so many people are left out. That's why a concept called inclusive growth started. Now what is the meaning of inclusive growth? Most of you know. Our Honorable PM says, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Prayas, Sabka Vishwas. This year budget also one of the theme. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Inclusive growth. The benefits of economic growth should be redistributed. The benefits of economic growth should be fairly available to all the different sections of the society. Life chances should be available for all sections of the society. Poor, weaker, marginalized, disadvantaged, vulnerable sections also should get benefited. That is called as inclusive growth. So based on this concept of economic growth, inclusive growth, jobless growth, economic development. What is economic development, sir? Along with economic growth, if human development indicators, social development indicators are increasing, we call that as economic development. Economic growth is only material estimation of quantity of the goods. Along with that, if there is improvement in living standards of the people, if there is better access to healthcare, education, standard of living, life chances, we call it as economic development. So you are getting selected for UPSC. Economic growth or economic development? So you became IAS officer here. Economic growth or economic development? Economic development. How? You became IAS officer, how your village will develop? Corruption. Oh my God. Only economic growth. When you perform your duties as a civil servant properly and ensure that the benefits are reaching to the real needy people, that is economic development. So just because a person gets selected in civil services, మామూలు హడావిడి కదా అసలు. సో ఊరేగించడం, ఎందుకు ఊరేగించడం? జంతువుని బలిస్తున్నారా? ఏమొచ్చింది దేశానికి? మన వల్ల ఏమైనా ఉపయోగం వచ్చిందా? ఏం లేదు కదా. ఆఫ్టర్ దట్, హౌ యూ పర్ఫార్మ్ యువర్ రోల్ యాజ్ అన్ ఆఫీసర్, how you change the vulnerable and weaker and marginal sections of the society, that is the development. So if you just get selected for a job, only your family is developed, probably relatives also if they get a contract. Did you understand what I am saying? Real economic development is when you ensure that resources are used properly, benefits are going to the actual needy people, more life chances are available to the vulnerable and weaker sections, and not only you are developing, you are making others develop also. That is called as economic development. అందరూ బాగుండాలి, అందులో మనం ఉండకూడదు, మనం ఉండాలి. That is called as economic development. Now why I explain this economic growth, inclusive growth, jobless growth, economic development? Based on this theme, questions are asked in the previous year questions. Combination questions are asked. Of late, India's growth is criticized as jobless growth and exclusive growth. Of late means in the recent times. Of late, India's growth is criticized as jobless growth and exclusive growth. Yes? It appears that benefits of economic growth are enjoyed by only some sections of the society. Statement 1, statement 2, option they gave. Both statements are correct. Statement 2 explains statement 1. So something like that. Correct only. India's growth is criticized as jobless growth and exclusive growth because benefits are available only for some sections of the society. So they asked a combination of the statement. Now apart from this, so economic growth is preeminent for economic development. So economic growth is essential for economic development. Is the statement correct? Economic growth is essential for economic development. Is the statement correct? First you have to generate wealth, then you have to use it for the benefit of probably weaker sections and welfare of the people. Economic growth will always lead to economic development. Economic growth will always lead to economic development. Definitely not. So, interface. What is economic growth? What is economic development? What is jobless growth? What is inclusive growth? What is exclusive growth? So, all is related to one theme in the budget called Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So, based on understanding of the theme, question was asked. Now you know economic growth, economic development, inclusive growth, jobless growth. Probably these two are important for the exam. Goldilock economy and middle income trap. Now you'll understand in a better manner. So what is this word called as Goldilock economy? So it is an ideal situation where in the economy, inflation is under control, GDP growth rate is stable relatively, and forex reserves, huge forex reserves are available for external trade. So Goldilock is an ideal situation in which macroeconomic stability is available. When we say macroeconomic stability, inflation is under control. Inflation is under control means within the range of threshold limit. What is the threshold limit in India? Anyway, tomorrow we are going to cover inflation monetary policy, but just to revise, Urjit Patel Committee, inflation targeting, flexible inflation targeting of 2 to 6. Inflation is under control means public purchasing capacity is more. Can we say that? Inflation is under control, prices are less, means purchasing capacity is more. GDP growth rate is stable. GDP growth rate is stable means too much abnormal fluctuations are not there in GDP growth. 2.1, 3.6, minus 1.2, 1.0. No, not like our preparation. GDP growth rate should be stable means it should be consistent, reasonably good, and we are growing. So your preparation should be stable, which means suddenly reading 8 hours a day, suddenly not reading for 8 days. That is not stable preparation. Daily reading 8 minutes, but stable preparation every day. GDP growth rate is stable, meaning more and more investors want to come and invest in our country. More investment, more capital, more employment opportunities. And when will foreign investors, foreign capital come to a country? Policy stability, political certainty, law and order, good ease of doing of business, supportive policies from the government, factors of production is available at affordable prices, cheap human resource labor, then GDP growth rate would be stable. Third, to meet our essential imports, we have to pay to the world in different foreign currencies. So India's forex reserves touched $701 billion almost. So for the first time, highest ever forex reserves RBI is sitting upon. So if these three macroeconomic stability conditions are there is a flexibility for the state to focus on its economic targets. This flexibility is called as Goldilock situation in the economy. Which means if there is a macroeconomic stability, meaning inflation is under control, GDP growth rate is stable, central bank is having sufficient forex reserves, the state can focus on its economic targets. State can focus on improving economic growth, state can focus on generating employment, state can focus on attracting investment, state can focus more on multiplying of the economic activity. This is called as Goldilock economy. Meaning your health is very good, you have revised 3-4 times, you have solved all the previous year questions, you covered current affairs, you solved 10,000 MCQs, and finally you are going to the exam. The moment you are looking at the question, you are smiling at the question. Why are you smiling? No vastavani, I expect this. So which means what? Question. Because ideal situation. You have read it, you have understood it, you have solved it. That is called as Goldilock. Which means all the conditions are favorable for you. All the conditions are favorable for a country. Sir, despite global uncertainty, we are sitting on huge forex reserves. That's the reason why this situation is referred in economic word as Goldilock economy. Okay? Now if you understood this Goldilock economy, which you might expect in this year prelims, because which was there in newspaper regularly, middle income trap. So this is also current affairs topic which we might expect. So what is this middle income trap? We call the word developing country, developed country, least developed country. But World Bank classifies it as high income country, middle income country, low income country. So we call it as developed country, developing country, least developed. Common man understanding. World Bank classification is high income country, middle income country, low income country. Now look at the word trap. In very less time, a country is coming out from low income Look at the word. In very less time, a country is coming out from low income, but a country is struggling for very long years and decades, sometimes centuries, to come out of middle income to become high income. So this situation is called as middle income trap. After independence, in a span of 2 to 3 years, India came out of least developed and became middle income, meaning from least developed to developing. From 1948, we have been developing, just like our preparation going on, which means from 1950 till recently 78 years of republic, but still we are struggling to come out of middle income category. Why? They say when a country is moving from low income to middle income, middle income to high income, you have to spend so much of expenditure on capex. What is capex, sir? Capital expenditure, which would generate income in the future. Infrastructure development, skill development, amount spent by the government for generating income in future is called as capital expenditure. However, a developing country is trapped because to win the elections, they are spending more on freebies. This is what Supreme Court questioned. Revenue expenditure percentage is more, percentage of capex is less. So it's a trap. We are not in a position to come out because free bus, free gas, probably free. Revenue expenditure will not generate income in the future. It will generate a debt for the government in the future. Capital expenditure would generate income in the future, which will help to get out of the debt. But if you look at state government, if you look at central government, percentage of capex is less, percentage of revenue expenditure is more. We are borrowing, but borrowed money is not used for capital expenditure. Borrowed money is used for freebies and welfare policies. We are not in a position to come out of the trap, which is called as middle income trap. Now this is for a country. For an individual also, middle income trap is there. What is middle income trap for an individual? As soon as a person gets a job, social expectation. You have to buy a house, you have to buy a car. So you have only 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs, borrow 1.5 crore loan from bank. So make 25 to 30 lakhs, pay 2.5 lakh down payment for the car and get into middle income trap. So what does it mean? Till retirement, keep on paying only EMIs. That is middle income trap for individual. So this is middle income trap for countries. So we are looking at macroeconomic. Economic survey uses this word. India has been under middle income trap for several decades. Meaning, we have been struggling to come out of middle income category based on our per capita income. So high income, middle income, low income, it is decided based on per capita income. So our per capita income comes under middle income category. That's the reason why 1950s we were classified as developing. Now also we are classified as developing. After you retire from civil services as a cabinet secretary, chief secretary, India would be classified as least developed. No, it should become developed. Vikasit Bharat. What is meaning of Vikasit Bharat, sir? India coming out of middle income trap and becoming high income category is called as Vikasit Bharat. When will it happen, sir? Percentage of working population is more, dependent population is less, per capita income is more. Percentage of working population is more, dependent population is less, per capita income is more. That would be called as Vikasit Bharat. So we expect by 2047, probably demographic dividend, advantage of having young, educated, skilled working population, so that per capita income would increase, so that India would come out of middle income trap and we might become Vikasit Bharat. So got the link now? Economic growth, economic development, jobless growth, inclusive growth. Just now we talked about middle income trap, Goldilock economy. So one of the previous year question themes probably in These words are used. Goldilock economy, middle income trap are used by our finance minister. Probably question can come. So this is one more previous year questions themes. Then examiner's favorite once again. What is the definition of income? What should be included? What should not be included? And what is the reason for economic activity, non-economic activity, all this. Here only you have to understand national income, disposable income, notional income, per capita income, nominal income, real income. Because one of the previous year question themes is, while calculating national income, what should be considered, what should not be considered. So what is the meaning of income, sir? In the process of economic activity, there are factors of production: land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. For this land, labor, capital, rent, salary, interest, profit is made. So this factors of production, when return is paid, return is called as income. Meaning, in the process of production, distribution, consumption, factors of production which are essential for economic activity are called as land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship. Because we are using these factors of production, return paid to them is called as income. For land, what is paid? Rent is paid. You are staying in the hostel, so every month you are paying rent to hostel owner. For hostel owner, it is income. Labor, organized sector salaries, unorganized sector wages. For employer, it is expenditure. For employee, it is income. Capital, when you are borrowing from somebody else, you are expected to pay along with the principal interest also. Entrepreneurship, what is the purpose of taking risk and investing any business? Expecting profit. So what is income? Return paid for these factors of production in the process of economic activity. So previous year question. Which of the following should be considered in income? Old age pension announced by the government. Applied for old age pension? Sir, what are you talking, sir? We are young, sir. So government is giving 3,000 rupees, 4,000 rupees old age pension. So should we call this as income for that lady? We should not call it as income because she is not producing any goods and services. She is not involved in any economic activity. It is called as transfer payment. So what is the meaning of transfer payment? Simply funds are transferred from one account to other account. No economic activity, no production of goods and services. So transfer payment should not be considered as part of income for national income estimation. Is it clear? So government has given scholarship to you, probably for UPSC preparation. Is it your income? No dear, it's not income. It's a grant. Look at the word. Grant means which is given out of kindness without expectation of anything, which is called as grant. So every month parents are giving you 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 grant. With what expectation? No expectation. They know very well it will not come back. I mean, there is an argument with your mother. You are telling, I will give back all your money along with the principal interest. Calculate from LKG to now. It became 3.5 crore. With what expectation parents are spending money on you? No expectation. Of course, they have some expectation. Vastadu mavadu tiri. Ela vastadu? Pelli cheskona. No. IAS, IPS, IRS. Probably they are expecting. But it's not your income. But if you are doing a part-time job and you are getting some return out of it, then it is income. Because you are part of economic activity, you are generating income. Suppose you are teaching spoken English to your hostel roommates. Of course, you don't know how to speak, but still you are teaching. And they are paying every probably week 100 rupees as part-time tuition fee. Then it becomes income. Look at, transfer payment is not part of income. Grant is not part of income. Need to understand what I am saying? Plus, we use a word, care economy. Sometimes invisible or intangible effort is made to take care of someone which cannot be monetized. Mother is taking care of the baby. She is spending so much time on taking care of the baby. So, can we monetize it? How much love you have towards your mother? How much love you have towards your mother? How many kgs? How many tons? Quintals. Certain care activities cannot be monetized. You cannot tell. Did you understand what I am saying? Based on this concept, previous year question. For national income estimation, what is considered, what is not considered? Very simple logic. It should be economic activity and there should be a return. Then that will be considered. If it is non-economic activity, if there is no return, then it's not considered. So transfer payment is not considered. Grants are not considered. Care economy, in which certain things cannot be monetized, are not considered. Now based on this only one previous year question, we covered something called primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. Out of them, which are real sector, which are non-real sector? Previous year question. What is meaning of real sector? What is meaning of non-real sector? Something which is involved in production of goods is called as real sector. Which do not involve in the production of goods is called as non-real sector. Now what's meaning of non-real sector? Very simple. You have deposited 10,000 rupees in your bank account. Okay? How many goods and services you produced? You have deposited 10,000 in your bank account, savings account balance. How many goods and services you have produced? No. So it comes in a real sector or non-real sector? Non-real sector. What is real sector, sir? A person invested 1 lakh in Ashok Nagar and he started coffee shop. Anything is produced in coffee shop? Coffee is produced. Oh, nice. Some economic activity is happening. You can see the visible production of goods, which is called as real sector. Understood? So previous year question based on this. Investments in financial market is a non-real sector. Did you understand what I am saying? Investments in financial market is a non-real sector. What does it mean? Simply through Demat account, Zerodha, Sharekhan, Upstocks, you are buying some company shares. You are not producing any goods and services out of it. So real sector or non-real sector? Non-real sector. Entrepreneur, by taking the risk, started producing goods. It becomes real sector. One more clarity is there. What is real sector? What is non-real sector? I gave one more example of just now. Very simple concept. Theme. If you know income concept, what is national income? Take your own family. When you say income of the family, how many members are earning in the family? Your family only, not your neighbor's family. How many are earning in the family, dear? 1 or 2? How many are dependent in the population? So probably in some family, mother, father, both are working. Some family, except as everybody else is working. When we take income of the family, when we tell, it's not that everybody in the family is earning. It means income of the working population of the family. Did you understand what I am saying? In your family, family income means income of working population. It does not mean that everybody in the family might be earning. That's fantastic, ideal. So what is national income? it does not mean that everybody in the nation is earning. Income of working population in a nation in a financial year is called as national income. What is called as working population, sir? Those who are earning either in organized or unorganized sector is called as workforce. So add the income of the all workforce in a country in 1 year, that is called as national income. Meaning from April 1st to March 31st in primary sector, in secondary sector, in tertiary sector, add return received by workforce in the process of economic activity. Maybe rent, maybe salary, maybe interest, maybe profit. Add all of them. That is called as national income. However, difference between labor force and workforce important for the exam. Who are permitted to legally work is called as labor force. Out of that, who are actually earning is called as workforce. According to ILO, International Labour Organization, according to each country's labor laws, we are legally permitting them, we are legally expecting them to work. That is called as labor force. So in India's case, labor force definition 15 to 59, 15 to 62, 15 to 64, it varies from state to state. But what is the age group clarification regarding what is labor force, what is workforce? Both are not same. So in India, according to central government definition, we use the word 15 to 59, in some states 62, in some state 64, whatever. Why have we taken 15 years, sir? Article 21A. What does Article 21A says? Children in the age group of 6 to 14 years should go to school. That's why we have taken the age as 15. Most of the retirement age for the central government job was 60. That was the reason why we used to consider people in the age group of 15 to 59 as part of labor force. Out of them, those who are earning either full-time job or part-time job or daily job or formal economy, informal economy, they are called as workforce. So are you part of labor force or are you part of workforce? No, sir. Lazy force, sir. Air force, sir. Air force only? No, dear. You should become workforce. Now you are part of labor force. Aspirant is labor force. Ranker becomes workforce. Or probably you get any job, government, private, it does not matter. If you start earning, you will become part of workforce. You look at what is national income. Income of all workforce in a financial year is called as national income. Here only one word, demographic dividend. So what is this demographic dividend concept, sir? Dividend means advantage. Demography means population. APCM recently introduced population policy. ముగ్గురు గంటే 25,000, నలుగురు గంటే 1,00,000 రూపాయలు. So he's telling don't stop the war. Continue the war. So which means ఇద్దరు ఓకే, ముగ్గురు ముద్దు, నలుగురు హద్దు. So which means South Indian CMs probably are telling have as much children as possible. Of course they had only one child, but they are telling that now people, why they are telling aging population is increasing in India, which means after 2 or 3 decades only aunties and uncles will be there. Young people, working population would not be there, which China is struggling, with Japan is struggling right now. So that's why they are telling have children, but if we have more children and more population, there is no use of it. It will become dividend. When you convert these children into educated, skilled working population, have more population, that is demography. Convert them as dividend, advantage, as working population. That is called as demographic dividend. Meaning, India has unique advantage of having young children and young population. Let's convert this young population into working population by providing necessary skills and employment and education. If majority of the population is young, educated, skilled, working, the benefit that a country would get is called as demographic dividend. Right now, around 60 to 65% of population is dependent population. Around 35 to 40% of population is working population. By 2040, we expect it would reverse. Demographic dividend would reach its peak. Meaning working population would become around 55 to 60. Dependent population would decrease. That is called as demographic dividend. Demography means population. Dividend means not advantage because of population. Advantage of having more working population. That is called as demographic dividend. Now labor force definition, workforce definition, national income definition, per capita income. National income chapter is kept in the syllabus actually to calculate per capita income, to understand economic growth, whether we are a high income country, whether we are a middle income country, whether we are a low income country. But what is the theme of per capita income you need to understand. See, per capita income does not mean national income will be redistributed, but it is notional concept. What is the meaning of notional concept? If we have to redistribute wealth available in a country for a person in the family, which would be referred as per capita income. See, in your family, father is earning 3 lakhs per month. There are 5 members in the family. Per capita income does not mean that 3 lakh divided by 5 for everybody 60,000 would be given. That's not the meaning of it. If this wealth has to be redistributed among all of them, per person, for creating life chances, approximately how much would be available? So in example, income of the father is 3 lakhs, family members are 5. Per capita income means 3 lakhs divided by 5. It does not mean that for everybody 60,000 will be given. No. If they are ready to spend the money per person to provide life chances, how much would be available? That is called as per capita income. Which is the criteria for deciding high income country, middle income country, low income country? 75 years before, our per capita income was low. We are under middle income category. Now also, our per capita income is low. So we are under middle income category. So how do we increase per capita income? Working population should increase. Dependent population should decrease. Then Viksit Bharat would happen in the future. Okay, this is called per capita income. In which of the following circumstances per capita income may increase? Previous year question. Look at the word. In which of the following circumstances per capita income may increase? Statement 1. National income remains same. Population is decreasing. National income remains same. Population is decreasing. Per capita income may increase. Second statement. Population remains same. National income is increasing. Understood? Both A and B. Because the question is about may. They're just asking in which of the following circumstances per capita income may increase. Very simple. National income is increasing, population remains same. Population remain, or you can say growth in national income is more than growth in population. Then also per capita income may increase. Both are growing, but growth in national income is more than growth in population. Then also per capita income would increase. 3 statements they have given. In which of the following circumstances per capita income may increase? Look at the word may. M-A-Y, may. Then disposable income. So this is also previous year question. Out of gross income, after paying legal taxes to the government, The amount which is ready to be disposed, ready to be spent is called as disposable income. Meaning, from the total income, statutory deductions, or we can call as taxes, applicable legal taxes, remaining amount is ready to be spent, ready to be disposed. That's why that's called as disposable income. Let's say if you become IAS officer, after 8th pay commission, 1,50,000 they give a salary. Every month 1,50,000 will not be credited to your account. From that 1,50,000, PF, Provident Fund would be deducted, TDS would be deducted, Central Government Health Insurance Scheme, CGS will be deducted, insurance. After all this, around 95,000 may come into your account. Your gross salary is 1,50,000. You will not get 1,50,000 every month into account. After applicable taxes, whatever is ready to be spent, suppose 95,000 got credited to your account. You can spend entire 95,000 which is ready to be spent is called as disposable income. Now look at how the questions are asked. If gross income remains same, government increases taxes, what happens to disposable income? Decreases. Did you understand what I am saying? Salary is 1,50,000. Income tax earlier was 10%. Now income tax increased to 30%. Then what would happen to disposable income? So if conditions are normal, if other conditions are normal, there is inverse relationship between taxes and disposable income. Can we say that? If other conditions are normal, there is inverse relationship between taxes and disposable income. Understood? If tax rates decreases, disposable income is more. Government said, we are introducing new Income Tax Act 2025. Up to 12 lakhs, no income tax. Meaning what happens to disposable income? Government is telling, madam or sir, if you earn up to 12 lakhs, we will not collect any tax. So when disposable income increases, what happens to spending capacity? So what happens to demand for goods and services? So what happens to GDP growth rate? Increases. That is the logic why government said, okay, no tax up to 12 lakhs. September 30th, third quarter, suddenly government came up with a reform called GST 2.0, 03/5/12/1828. Is reorganized into only 5 and 18. Because of reorganization of GST into 5 and 18%, what happens to prices of the goods? So what happens to spending? So what happens to economic activity? So all this is drama to show more numbers. Did you understand what I am saying? This is called as disposable income. Look at the word. National income, per capita income, disposable income, notional income. If you become an IAS officer, what are the facilities you are going to get? Car, bungalow. How much dowry? Expected dowry? 3,000 crores. Notional. Expected income in the future is called as notional. Expected. So, after 2 years or 3 years, where you would be? Opposite hostel. No sir. Probably you should have completed your foundation course in Missouri. So madam is in probably secretariat, under training collector, probably. Notional. Expected return in the future. For an economic activity is called as notional. It's not real, but we assume that if conditions are ideal, expected return in the future is called as notional. So probably if all whatever Lokesh Babu is telling is correct, on August 18th only, no, March 18th only, when 18th or 19th, when is Ugadi? 19th. So what is the expectation about job calendar? Notional. Expected to come. But which Ugadi they did not clear. I mean this Ugadi or like next Ugadi, that's not there. But expected. Everybody is talking about expected. That is called as notional. After 5 years, where you would be? Who knows, sir? Who knows? expected return if conditions are normal, meaning if you work hard, if you reach your goal, possible return that you are going to get is called as notional income, not national, notional. Nominal income, real income. What is nominal income, sir? A regular fixed return that a person is getting in the organized sector is called as nominal income. A person joined as a software engineer, every month the fixed salary is 25,000. Every month he is getting 25,000. Real income. Purchasing capacity, look at the word, purchasing capacity of nominal income at current market prices. Which means with that 25,000 rupees, in that month, when he goes to the market, how many goods and services he can buy is called as real income. What is the difference, sir? Every month he is getting 25,000. But what happens to purchasing capacity of 25,000? Keeps on changing because prices keeps on changing. So if nominal is adjusted with inflation, that is called as real. If nominal is adjusted with inflation, inflation means what? Increase in the prices. Purchasing capacity, that is called as real income. For 1 month, for 25,000 salary, I purchased 500 variety of the goods. So real income is 500 goods. Next month, for the same 25,000, I purchased only 150 goods. So what happened to my real income? So when nominal income is adjusted with inflation based on the market prices, that is called as real income. Clear? So look at national income, per capita income, disposable income, notional income, nominal income, real income. So one of the previous year questions based on disposable income. So this will lead us to one more fundamental concept. Break is required. So just let me introduce this. After that we can take the break, so that this will help in understanding GDP, nominal GDP, potential GDP, real GDP, methods, all this. Still we did not go into the actual core topic. Factor cost, which is referred as at the rate FC. BP, basic price. MP, market price. Constant price, CP, and base year. So once there is a clarity. So cost, what is the meaning of cost, sir? Expenditure incurred on factors of the production in economic activity to convert raw material into finished product is called as cost. To produce 1 plate puri, expenditure incurred on factors of production, rent, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship is called as cost. So what is paid? Rent is paid, salary is paid, interest is paid, and some profit is also expected. So cost or FC at the rate factor cost. To manufacture a product, expenditure incurred on all factors of the production, so that the raw material is becoming a final product is called as cost. Suppose you are purchasing shoe from Bata showroom. To manufacture that shoe, how much the expenditure incurred for Bata on factors of the production is called as cost. Price. Look at the word basic price. After cost or factor cost, transportation, distribution, supply, and to manufacture this goods, they're supposed to obtain the license from the government, and they're supposed to pay production taxes. Look at the word. To produce those goods, you have to obtain license from the government and you have to pay production taxes. To encourage certain sections, to encourage certain economic activities, subsidies are given. So, after considering factor cost, after considering production taxes, and wherever subsidies are available, minimum price below which the distributor do not want to sell it is called as basic price. let's say Mahindra is manufacturing a car in its factory outlet. Expenditure incurred on manufacturing of the car is called as factor cost. Later it is distributed to say supplier, or distributor, or dealer. Or Mahindra itself is selling, so it has its operational expenditure called factor cost. It's supposed to pay license fee, it's supposed to pay production taxes to government. Maybe some electric vehicle government is also offering some subsidies. So to manufacture one car, 20 lakhs is the factor cost, production tax is 5 lakhs, subsidy is 1 lakh. So no manufacturer want to sell below this. If they sell below minimum, they will get the loss. That's why they will not sell below this. That is called as basic price. It's like Ashok Nagar lo sanda జరిగినప్పుడు అడుగుతున్నారు వాళ్ళని స్వీట్ కార్న్. సో వాళ్ళేమో 25 రూపీస్ చెప్పారు, మీరేమో 5 రూపీస్ అడుగుతున్నారు. సో దే టెల్లింగ్ నో, మాకే మినిమం బేసిక్ ప్రైస్ ఈజ్ 10 రూపీస్ మేడం, we will not sell below 15 rupees. Because for him factor cost was 10 rupees, 5 rupees is profit. If he sells below 15 rupees, he'll get the loss. He does not want to sell it below. That's why that is called as basic price. Market price, MRP inclusive of all taxes. Now here, when product is available at the consumption point, after manufacturer fixes the basic price, producer, distributor, supplier, in middleman, finally retailer. At retail outlet, the price that is paid by the consumer is called as market price, which includes basic price also. Important for the exam, not production, product tax, individual product tax and individual subsidy, product subsidy. So market price is a concept which says finally what am I paying at place of consumption, MRP inclusive of all taxes. Then what is the difference between market price and MRP, sir? Highest cap of the market price is called as maximum retail price. So if you look at, when you go to a DMart, why DMart is able to offer less than MRP? It's because DMart is not dependent on the suppliers. It is directly purchasing from factory. So because of which their factor cost is less, their basic price is less, they are able to sell below MRP. Compared to DMart, Reliance Mart, Mom and Me, More, Spencer. So there, suppliers are there, distributors are there. So relatively basic price is more. That's the reason why market price is also more. Then constant price. For comparison purpose, base year prices are taken as a reference, which is called as constant prices at the rate CP. Base year refers to a stable financial year in the recent times in which in primary sector, secondary sector, service sector, conditions are normal. Too much abnormal deviations are not there. That year is taken as a reference purpose for comparison. That is called as base year. You are taller compared to somebody. You are shorter compared to somebody. Base compared to whom? You are intelligent compared to one friend. Not so intelligent compared to one more friend. Base. When can we compare? If situations are normal, then you can compare. You are preparing for UPSC. Your friend is preparing for MBBS exam. Can you compare both? You cannot compare because base is different. So you got 100 out of 100 in mathematics. Your friend got 105 out of 100 in social. Whose performance is better? You cannot compare because subjects are different. So in economy, for comparison purpose, we compare current year economic activity with the recent past stable financial year. Relatively conditions are normal. That year is referred as base year. So NSO was following 2011-12 as base year for national income estimation. From this April 1st onwards, we are introducing 23 or 22? 22-23 is financial year or 23-24? 22-23 only. So officially Finance Ministry announced NSO we are introducing 22 to 23 as financial year, base year, instead of 2011-12. Process is completed by February 2026. That's what our government announced. For national income estimation, revised base year 22 to 23 in place of 2011-12. Okay. So this is called a factor cost, basic price, market price, constant price, base year concept. Maybe base year is revised from 2011-12 to 22 to 23. This is asked regularly in the exam. If you know factor cost, if you know basic price, relationship they are asking. Let's say factor cost has increased. What is expected of basic price? What is expected of market price? So link they are asking. Factor cost is part of basic price. Basic price is part of market price. And only difference is, in basic price we are considering production taxes, and in market price we are considering individual product tax. Okay. So if I am buying a car, if I am buying a mobile phone, market price, how it was decided? Based on basic price. How it was decided? Based on factor cost. So in a simple example, if you go to bake zone, you are ordering or you are purchasing potato chips packet. To produce that potato chips, how much is the expenditure incurred is called as factor cost. Bake zone did not manufacture this potato chips. They purchased from hard chips somebody else. For that hard chips maker, how much is the expenditure made is called as factor cost. He added some profit. He fixed some price to bake zone. Say 60 rupees per kg the factor cost, 10 rupees the profit. So the hard chips maker fixed the price as 70 rupees for bake zone. For bake zone, factor cost is 70 rupees, and they are running AC also. They have to pay salaries to employees also, and finally they are selling to us at 90 rupees for market price. So factor cost, basic price, market price, constant price, base year, revision of base year. Why revision of base year? IMF has given C rating. So this is current affairs. International Monetary Fund has given C rating, second lowest rating to India's NSO for national income estimation, because base year is outdated. It is not revised periodically. There is too much time lag in preparation. See, can we compare the cutoff of 25-26 with 2011-12 cutoff? We cannot compare because situations are not so same. So International Monetary Fund has given C rating, second lowest rating to India's National Statistical Office, because while it was estimating growth, base year is not revised periodically. There are inclusion exclusion errors in data collection, and most important, there is a time lag in collection of the data and processing of the data. So same day NSO said our estimated GDP growth rate is 8.5. Same day IMF told don't trust NSO data because we are giving C rating to it. So that's the reason why we revise the base year from 2011-12 to 22 to 23. However, why are we following April 1st to March 31st for accounting purpose? Actually, it's a colonial legacy only. There is no scientific reason. During British time, for their convenience, they introduced April 1st to March 31st. We have been following it. Several committees are appointed, but they felt there is no need to change, so we are not changing at all. So for calculation purpose, for accounting purpose, we are following financial year April 1st to March 31st. So it has been continued right from East India Company colonial practice time. So this is called as financial year, base year. So probably factor cost, basic price, market price, constant price. Okay. So after break, I'll introduce probably types of GDP, methods of estimation of national income, business cycles, recovery. So probably all of the remaining aspects, and most important for prelims, domestic economic territory, GDP, GNP differences. So NDP, NNP differences, why they are not used for economic growth comparison, probably. So but what all we discussed till now, we'll create a platform to understand the core concepts, domestic economic territory, types of GDP, nominal GDP, real GDP, potential GDP, green GDP. You just need to know the link and the interlink of both of them. Okay, so probably short break is required. Yes sir. So after break we'll continue from now onwards, probably the core concepts of GDP all that. After this, okay? Able to sleep properly? Able to sleep properly? No sir. See, I know we are going fast, but I assume that you should have read at least once. Even if I have not read also, at least we should be able to make some sense what is happening. Probably if you feel that class is too fast, after class once again listen to the class and read your notes. You'll get more further clarity. And then try to solve the previous year question. Anyway, wherever theme comes, I'm explaining previous year question also. So you will get a logic and from where examiner is more interested in. Okay, probably after break we'll continue remaining topics.